moment of drama here in Johannesburg. The Women's 100-meter hurdles African Athletics Championships final. All eyes will be on Naledi Libita, the defending champion, whose father, the legendary Kosi Libita, sadly passed away last month.
Marks. Set.
Naledi is a 10-minute 2D animated short film. It's about a star athlete struggling with debilitating grief, and she faces pressure in her first race since her father's passing. As she's competing at the African Olympics Athletics Championship, rather 100-meter hurdles final. So mid-race, she trips and she falls, and as a result, she suffers a catastrophic panic attack and her world begins to collapse. This story was born from Lola Aikins, the writer and director, experiencing grief for the first time after losing her grandfather, as well as her personal experiences in experiencing defeat and career-ending injuries in sport as well. So Lola joins us now in studio this morning to speak a little bit more about her work and also just reflect on International Women's Day, what this also means for her in her career as a woman. Lola, good morning. On that note, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations, firstly. That
Thank
looked
you.
Amazing. I wonder if we're speaking about animation and your interest in it, what would have sparked it for you, that medium specifically?
Well, when I was younger, I always loved drawing. I've been drawing since the year of, since 4 years old.
Wow.
And naturally, when you're drawing, eventually you want them to move. So I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be an animator. And I'm very fortunate to have pursued that dream in my life.
How long then have you been an animator for? And then if we're looking at delving into projects, what would that first project have looked like? First before we get to your offering to date.
Okay, so I've been working in animation for the past, going on 7 years. So since I finished university, I started working in animation. And my first project that I worked on, well, I did an internship at Mind's Eye Creative, and I got to work on a TV show called My Better World that was nominated for an award at Annecy, which is a major international animation festival in France. Then afterwards, I got to do another internship at Timor Precinct, and that's actually where I started to conceptualize Naledi. When I was an intern, we had to pitch some ideas, but my idea didn't get chosen, so I continued to work on my project, and then I was lucky enough to get some funding a few years later to make a teaser trailer, and that's what you guys just saw.
The process then of creating Naledi or just even an animation, tell us what goes into that, perhaps from conceptualization to storyboard, all those elements. That doesn't take one day.
No, it takes a very, very, very long time. From the point of where I first had the idea to the time the trailer premiered, I think that was 3 going on 4 years. We spend so much time in development, writing the script. Then we have what's called visual development. So you have to design the look and feel of the film. That takes a lot of time. And then after that, production. We were in production for a very long time, and it was during the pandemic, so there was a lot of stop and start. So it took 1.5 years, but it was, it was crazy.
Wow, the end product speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Beyond, the behind-the-scenes production, I'm just looking at developing the story itself and what it evokes, the emotions. You're dealing with real-life themes of grief, and that's what a lot of people resonate with as well. Tell us more about that journey for you.
Yeah, so in the same year, 2019, when I started working on this project, my grandfather passed away. So initially it was a story about loneliness, this lonely athlete, and then my grandfather passed, and that was the first time I experienced real grief, someone in my family dying. So that kind of seeped its way into the story. And also when I was in school, I played hockey and athletics, and I was a very good sportswoman, and I actually wanted to represent South Africa, but then I suffered an injury on my knee, so that effectively ended my dreams of playing nationally. But I always wanted to be an animator. So after I finished university and I started working animation, with my grandfather passing, I got to to merge my passions, like my love for my grandfather, my love for sports, and my love for animation into one beautiful project.
Yes, and I mean, it was backed up by those invested. You got some grants as well, but I know that was also a tricky journey to secure those funding.
Yeah.
How did you then ultimately begin, finish the project through financing?
Well, what you just saw is a teaser trailer, so it's 1 minute, but the entire project is meant to be 7 minutes, so that's actually not complete. So we're still raising funds for that, but this teaser trailer was funded from the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program, so distributed through the National Film and Video Foundation. So after we finished this, I went on another journey to raise more funds to finish the entire film. So, and then surprisingly, it was very hard to get funding. You know, I got like only 1 grant of 7 that I applied for, so a lot of rejection. So then I decided to launch a crowdfunding campaign last year on Kickstarter. So that allowed us to fund just towards the end of pre-production, so not even the entire film. But that opened doors for us, and it gave us more funds to continue to lay out, which is the step just before animation, which we are in, but we still don't have the funds to finish the entire 7-minute film. So hopefully that we get the funds and we can complete the film by the end of the year, because that's my goal. It's been over 6 years trying to make this project, so yeah.
Well, it's a necessary piece of art that the world needs to see. I wonder if we're just also looking at you as a female in animation, what are the challenges that you face typically, perhaps as we reflect on International Women's Day as well as through your career?
Yeah, so some challenges I faced as a woman. So initially when I started this project, maybe sometimes I wouldn't get the not respect, but yeah, sometimes I guess respect.
Yeah.
And maybe another man would have. And also it was my first time directing. I went from being a junior, because I had only been working 2 years at that point, to having to lead an entire team. So maybe, okay, that along with me being a woman did pose some challenges in trying to lead a team and to create this project.
Yeah. How do you think it could become more inclusive then at large, the space?
Well, I think we need a lot more women in creative leadership roles, because we have like a lot of women in production, like producers, which is great. But like the creative roles, like director, writer, art director, I think it's really important that we have more women in those roles, and that's really lacking, especially in South Africa.
Lola, thank you for sharing your story. I pray, I hope that those watching can obviously support you to take your project to the next phase. But thank you for sharing this. We're looking forward to you finishing.
Thank you for having me.
So Lola Aikins this morning, of course, writing and directing a 2D animated film. It's called Naledi, a 25-year-old professional hurdle runner, of course, is constantly anxious, full of fear, following the death of her father. That story continues. So do watch as the journey unfolds.